I wanted to move on to something else. Are you a country music fan?
No, and I had to look up Jason because
Yeah.
I think I did a woke tweet and someone quote tweeted it and tagged Jason, however you say his last name. And I'm like, who is that?
Yeah.
Right. So
Well,
then,
Jason Aldean, first of all, the funny thing about this, and this has been mentioned on numerous shows and anything when you talk about this, if you don't know who Jason Aldean is, you may remember at least the mass shooting in Las Vegas, where a guy went nuts in a hotel and shot down on a crowd of concert goers.
right.
Well, it was a big country music concert, and he happened to be on stage at the time that the mass shooter started, riddling people with bullets and killing, I think it was 58 Americans, the biggest mass shooting in the history of our country.
Oh my God.
And he was on stage at the time. And as soon as he heard these the gunshots going off, he ran right off the stage. And why that's a bit hypocritical is because I'm going to read you. We're going to go over the lyrics of this song. So I'm taking it you have not heard Jason Aldean's song.
I didn't listen to it.
Try that in a small town. So the reference is that if you get out of line in my town, things are going down that you aren't going to like. So this is his these are the lyrics to this genius song. Sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think that's cool? Well, act like a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here, we can take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't try that in a small town. Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're going to round up. Well, that shit might fly in the city. Good luck. Try that in a small town. Then he goes over the stupid course again. Full of good old boys raised up right. If you're looking for a fight, try that in a small town. And then he repeats it again just to make sure you know. See how far you make it down the road. Around here, we're going to take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't try that in a small town. Stupid. So he also has a video that that is attached to this song. And the video focuses on the protests against police brutality and also shows footage of violence, of demonstrations and robberies. He also sings in front of the Murray County Courthouse in Tennessee, which was the site of a 1946 race riot in Columbia, according to the Associated Press. In 1927, a black 18-year-old named Henry Choate was lynched there. So here's the main thing that bothers me, especially about these conservatives and the MAGA side and all these guys. And I'll tell you why it bothers me here, because he kind of walks it back. But all these people, they use their little innuendos, and we know exactly what they mean. We know exactly what they're talking about. Then when they're called out on it, they want to back it up a little bit and go, well, you guys are taking it out of context, which we're not. We know exactly what you mean when you say that. Before you respond, I'm going to tell you his tweet. This was his tweet after he got some heat for this. In the past 24 hours, I have been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song, a song that has been out since May, which, by the way, let me cut myself off there. It's been out since May. And now all of a sudden it's #1 on the iTunes charts, which tells me that the country music fans thought this song sucked before.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, because it's controversial, it's #1 on the iTunes charts.
Right.
So because that came out 3 months ago, and was subject to the comparison that I, direct quote, was not too pleased with the nationwide BLM protest. These references are not only meritless, but dangerous. Now, he thinks it's dangerous. What do you think of his song? What do you think of the lyrics?
And it was not too silent dog whistles. Like I don't like
Yeah.
it. It's pretty obvious. Like the imagery alone. It's like they always, and I just saw little bits and pieces. It's like, they pick on BLM, and BLM wins peace prizes. When they want to talk about how bad, protests are and violent, they pick a protest that we don't even know what this is. Like, it's just, who are these people? Who said that they're BLM? Like, we just lump them all together.
Yep.
He knows what he's doing. Like, he's from the goddamn South. Like, he's standing in front where somebody got lynched. Like, what? I don't know what else to say. He should have gotten dragged. That's like, what told him to write like this and do this video other than I want to be controversial. One, I want to get in on a little racism. Like, what
Well,
is
no,
this?
it's what told him to do it is the state of the country that we live in today
And he
on the
wanted money.
conservative side. I mean, it is. It's just so corny that you can like there's this one guy, he's like a conservative rapper, and he put out a horrific song, but it goes to number one on the iTunes charts. By the way,
Mhm.
it's not that hard to get. Now, I would never be able to put a song on the iTunes charts and be number one, but if you're an artist,
Right,
it's not that difficult to
right,
get the number one. If you ever watched America's Got Talent, you
right,
can watch somebody sing a song on America's Got Talent, and the very next night it's number one on the iTunes chart.
right. Got
So as
it.
long as you get enough eyes on it or you get enough controversy behind it, that's how you can become. But it's also, like I said, it's the state of the country we live in today. It's the kind of stuff that, you know what, we have found a new way to say our racist things. And the way that is to use innuendo and not really say it, but we're
Mhm.
saying it. The country music fans or the racists or whoever is listening, exactly what we're talking about. But
Right,
then when they call us out on it, we're going to look at them and make like they're crazy.
right, right. Right. And he knows
Yeah.
better. Like the Rittenhouse. That was because that's what you're saying. Rittenhouse he's good what he did because he wasn't even protecting his own because he left his home to go
He's their
somewhere else.
hero. Well, that's the biggest joke, and
Mhm.
that's a whole other thing. And by the way, Jason Aldean was born in Macon, Georgia, which is the
Right.
fourth largest city in Georgia. So I don't know how small of a town that was. And I also read, I did not see the lyrics, and I wish because I saw it not too before we started this. Apparently, he wrote a song in 2019 talking about how he left a small town because it sucked.
Of course.
I can't 100% say that because I'm not a Jason Aldean fan. I don't know his music.
I mean, he said the good old boys in his lyrics. Like,
Correct. Yeah. How many
who,
people in
who
the Black
they,
community are
Jason?
called the good old boys?
Who they, Jason? The good old
Yeah.
boys?
I don't know. Like I said, I
Tom
mean,
Thurman? Who are you talking about?
I would never agree with them, but I've said this a million times. I'll have way more respect if you say something and then you come out and say, yeah, that's what I meant. That's exactly what
Right.
I meant. But don't puss out and say, I didn't mean that. No, this is not what I really meant. And try to blame it on the person that's upset or mad about it. Cause I
Right.
just find that pretty weak.
Right, because now it's woke, and now he's got the concern. Because first, wasn't he just like pissed off because he was dropped from where, like the country music channel or
Yeah,
some?
well, the video was removed from
Okay,
the country music channel,
okay,
and that's owned by MTV. So they're a little bit more, they're gonna they're not a fan of that kind of stuff and controversy and things like that. So I know that has been lifted, but again, it's even more disappointing because, like I said, the only knowledge I had of Jason Aldean was of him on that stage in that country music concert.
running.
Or actually, then I learned later that 2 years in a row he played at Mar-a-Lago on New Year's Eve. So he's a big Trump guy, obviously too. And again, you got something to say, you could say it, say whatever you want. And that's the other thing is that you could say and sing whatever you want. He's number
Right,
one on the iTunes charts right now. In
right,
America, you could still get paid for
right,
this kind of thing. So
right.
if anybody is so-called canceled or whatever it is, it's just because the mass audience says, yeah, dude, that's not really for us. That's
Yeah,
kind of maybe for a certain audience. It's not for us. So don't, try to turn this around on us for being too sensitive to your obvious racist song.
Right. It's obvious, right? It's like, you know, they want to compare it to like rap lyrics and all this other stuff. And it's like, there's no comparison. This is ridiculous. It's just like if uh I don't know, Jay-Z was singing an anti-Semitic rap song, like he'd get canceled. Like
Right.
you can't do it. It's like,
Well, I got more news for you. You know, they do. So there's always a whataboutism with this, and
right,
you know, I heard the comparison to rap songs and rap lyrics. I don't know if they know this before they speak, but there have been congressional hearings about rap music and
right.
rap songs.
Yeah,
So, you know, they were called out, and there were plenty of people, especially on the religious side, who called this stuff out. So, you know, it happens definitely. So don't try to compare the two and act like you get away with one and then you
right,
don't get away with the other one. This guy obviously knew what he was doing, and you know what? I'm happy that you know, most of the country does not subscribe to this kind of
right.
garbage. You know, and if you do, you know,
I mean, he's stoking violence. I
yeah,
mean, just right on the heels of J6. Like, what are we doing right now?
yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's unbelievable.